The movie starts off on Chapter 1 set in Paris. An assassin gazes out of a window, his attention caught by a timer that startles him from almost falling asleep. After some time, he rouses, still fixated on the scene outside but now donning gloves. Although nameless, the assassin is recognized as the killer. Reclining in his chair, he plugs in earphones, observing people engaged in their daily routines. Engaging in yoga, push-ups, and maintaining a composed sitting posture, he eventually departs the room, descending several flights of stairs and exits the building incognito with sunglasses and a hat. Using his phone, he scans a bike and efficiently gathers necessary provisions from a nearby cafe. Nothing screams incognito like yoga, push-ups, and a quick espresso. Classic spy routine. Engaging in a phone call, he informs a contact that the individual will arrive, expressing impatience after a 5-day wait and declaring only 2 more days of tolerance. Hastening back to the building, a narrator interjects, revealing the killer's refusal to book any more airmans due to hidden nanny cams, because nothing ruins a good assassination plot like a cheeky nanny cam. As he continues observing ordinary people, he sets up his sniper rifle at the window when night falls. Suddenly, from out of nowhere, the door to the room opens behind the killer. Reacting swiftly, he holds his sniper at the ready, only to find a man dropping off some mail before casually walking away. Ah, the classic mix-up. Expecting a target, but it's just the postman. Happens to the best of us, right? The killer narrowly avoids a close call, and as dawn breaks, he remains seated by the window. Reflecting on the challenges of his profession, he describes how boredom is among the toughest aspects of his life. To combat the monotony, he resorts to staging accidents or orchestrating gradual poisons, allowing his creativity to come into play. Continuing his routine, he disinfects the sink and eventually settles into his makeshift bed. Seeking a brief reprieve, the killer indulges in a power nap, setting an alarm to periodically check for the arrival of his target. During one of these intervals, he notices curtains being drawn at the target's location. A car pulls up, and a housemaid prepares the chambers for a VIP. Anticipating the moment, the killer readies his sniper rifle once again and observes a man inside the house. Loading the bullets, he elevates his bed to window level and observes more people entering the building. Nothing says ready for action like a sniper with a bed for a watchtower. Who knew bedtime stories could be so lethal? The maid greets additional guests, prompting the killer to don his earphones. Spotting a woman being escorted to a room, he follows suit, putting on his hoodie and defiantly declaring, "I don't give up." Seated with his earphones in, he keeps a watchful eye on the man until his watch alerts him to an increased heart rate. Turning his attention back to the scope, the killer identifies his target coming into view through the window. In a moment of introspection about morals, his heart rate decreases. However, when he fires the shot, he misses the target, prompting the guards to swiftly shut the blinds. Faced with the need to pack up all of his weapons, the killer hastily dons a motorcycle helmet and sprints toward his scooter. After that miss and a hasty scooter getaway, maybe his sniper license came with a coupon for driving lessons. Jumping on, he accelerates away as police converge from all directions. While driving, he discreetly disposes of his gun in a passing garbage truck, maneuvering through the streets. Evading the police, he employs a Jason Bourne tactic on the stairs, navigates alleys, and manages to elude capture. Stopping his bike at the base of some stairs, he ascends, discarding his helmet and seeking refuge in a rundown public restroom at a gas station. After a quick makeover, he approaches a nearby cab and heads to an airport. However, a complicating factor arises when he spots a Belgian Malinois in line, causing him to change direction. After cleaning up, obtaining a plane ticket, and reaching a phone booth, he briefs the person on the other end about the failed mission. Boarding the plane, he notices a foreboding figure. Upon arrival at his destination, he locks eyes with the same man. Over the speakers, he learns about a delayed option with a voucher and accommodation offered for a day's wait. Opting for the trade, he successfully checks into a hotel room. Taking precautions, he places a glass on the door handle and settles on the couch. The next day, he silently leaves the hotel and proceeds to catch his next flight. Plugging in his earphones, the killer cruises through the sky, reaching his next destination where he swiftly transitions to his car, traversing various locations amid breathtaking scenery. Pulling up to a gate, he notices boot marks on the floor, prompting him to grab a pistol and leap over the gate. Sprinting towards the mansion, he follows the trail of boot tracks and discovers blood throughout the house. Boot tracks and blood, just the kind of breadcrumbs our killer loves. Hansel and Gretel, but make it action thriller. Making a call, he rushes to a hospital facing power outages. Inside, he finds a woman lying in bed, and Marcus informs him that his sister Magdala is in critical condition. Magdala describes the attack by 2 individuals, a man and a woman, revealing that she managed to stab the man and hide in a bathroom. Marcus believes the assailants targeted the killer, but found his wife instead. The killer sits by Magdala's bedside, and when she wakes up, She assures him that she did not disclose any information about him despite the pressure. With that, he leaves the hospital and begins digging into the situation. Opening a hidden underground safe, he starts packing his bags the next day. Driving through town, he spots a vehicle matching the description of the one that left his house. As night falls, he requests an emergency driver, gaining access to their database upon entry. Introducing Sniper Uber, where your ride's destination is always off the grid. Swipe right for disappearances and select Silencer for noise-free operations. With us, the only thing faster than our cars is how quickly we take out our passengers.
I get out, and I leave the keys. I walk back.
He locates the driver he's searching for, sending a package to Dolores and initiating a stakeout. Spotting the targeted driver, he tails him until requesting a ride. During the ride, the killer taps his pistol on the glass, prompting the driver to surrender his wallet. However, the killer isn't after money, he seeks information. The driver identifies the individuals as freaks and provides a description, explaining that he was coerced into driving them. Sharing a story of how he was coerced into waiting for the assailants at a hidden mansion. The driver details the events but meets an indifferent response from the killer, who promptly eliminates him using another fake passport. Leaving the country, he heads to New Orleans, making a pit stop at a storage facility to store his van and acquire weapons, files, and a new license plate for his work vehicle. Spotting a specific woman named Dolores, the killer executes his plans, posing as a garbage man to gain access to her building. Upon reaching her floor, he times the closing door, allowing him to enter. Petrifying Dolores, he takes her hostage and holds Hodges at gunpoint. Hodges recognizes the killer and his line of work, urging Dolores to comply with his demands. After securing her in the bathroom, Hodges confesses to orchestrating consequences when the killer failed to eliminate a powerful man. Hodges, a leader the killer once worked for, offers him the only survival solution: disappearance. As Hodges provides a backstory, the killer demands information about backups, but Hodges claims there are none and insists he won't harm him. However, the killer shoots Hodges in the chest with a nail gun, displaying a level of determination akin to the Equalizer. Giving Hodges 6 minutes to save himself, the killer discovers his timing was off and Hodges dies on the spot. Intent on dealing with Dolores, the killer realizes she knows the names he seeks but demands a promise to handle things correctly. Suppressing his inner voice that deems empathy a weakness, he cuts her free. However, upon seeing Hodges, Dolores faints after the killer tosses Hodges into a garbage can. The scene transitions to later that night as Dolores is taken for a drive. Despite her attempts to escape, the killer proceeds with his plan. She eventually assists him in sifting through the files to identify the subcontractors who invaded his house, finding only a name. Upon completing his task, the killer, driven by psychopathy, violently ends Dolores' life and vents his frustration about always having to clean up. Displaying his disturbed nature, he heads to a motel to rest after cleaning his van and grabbing a meal. With little else to occupy his time, he decides to travel to Florida, arriving at the provided address where he observes some men at the location. As night falls, the killer notices the men leaving and chooses to tail them. One of the men heads back to his house, guarded by a massive dog. Tossing the dog some food, the killer waits patiently until the dog is elsewhere. Sneaking onto the property, he discovers the dog napping and proceeds to enter the house through the front door. Finding the man inside taking a shower, the killer stealthily approaches the bathroom, but the man confronts him, revealing his toughness. Despite being pinned to the ground, the killer perseveres and a fierce fight ensues, wreaking havoc throughout the house. Breaking multiple items on the man's face, the killer attempts a chokehold, but the man escapes and the destructive battle continues. As the man reaches for a gun, he sustains an injury. The killer, armed with whatever he can find, hides behind a door. The injured man, bleeding profusely, approaches the final door, prompting the killer to locate a pistol, woo the man, and ultimately end his life. Fleeing for his life as the pursuing dog gives chase, the killer, once safely away, throws a Molotov to burn the house and erase any traces. The next day, he heads to the airport, boards his next flight, and travels to New York City. This time opting for public transport, the killer rents a car and arrives at the supposed house of the subcontractor, surveilling it as he did with the others. Taking a much-needed rest, he waits until nighttime, spotting a woman matching the description provided by the taxi driver. Swiftly following her car while maintaining distance, the killer hears sirens in the distance and stops when she turns right. Continuing to tail her, he observes her stop at the waterfront for an upscale meal. Engaging in his introspective monologue, the killer forcefully takes a seat at her table, gun aimed at her. Despite her expertise, the woman appears unsettled. Introducing herself as the expert, she inquires if the killer gave Hodges a horrific death. Remaining silent, the killer is subjected to various tactics, including friendly gestures and food offers. The expert distances herself from his wife's harm, attributing it to the brute who the killer has already dealt with. Unfazed, the killer stares at his victim as she delves into discussions about morality and the hypocrisy of their work. Despite her attempts to manipulate him, he escorts her outside, enduring her continuous chatter and feigned attempts at reverse psychology. Ultimately, he shoots her cleanly in the head. Dinner and a show with a side of moral ambiguity, just your typical waterfront date. Undeterred, the killer continues his hunt for the next victim, facing the challenge of a high-profile target. Staking out the man's residence, he heads to the car park and seizes an opportunity to copy a fob. Spotting his target in the car at night, he links up with a weapons dealer, acquiring what any psychopath might desire. Upon receiving an Amazon delivery, the killer goes to the gym where his target is known to train. After swiping the janitor's card and entering the change rooms, the killer spots his target heading to the workout area. Using the janitor's card, he opens the target's locker, retrieves a card from the wallet, and promptly copies it using the device he purchased earlier. Skillfully, he returns the card to the wallet. Waiting for the car park gate to open, he uses the copied card to access the building, taking the nearby elevator to reach level 27. Casually walking into the billionaire's residence, the man is startled upon seeing the killer. Claiborne, unaware of the killer's identity, offers money, but fear sets in when a gun is pointed at him. Almost pleading, Claiborne is confused until the killer asks if there's a problem between them. Realizing the situation, Claiborne explains that following the missed shot, Hodges recommended insurance and the removal of the killer. Utilizing his billionaire's eloquence, Claiborne assures the killer that he has no issues or problems with him. The killer warns him of a slow and painful death if he ever returns, before calmly leaving the room and heading to the street. In his final destination, the killer arrives at the Republic, where he shares a pleasant cup of tea with his now-healed wife. And so, the story concludes. Subscribe for more videos like this and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out. Leave us a like to help us out and comment your thoughts on the video. Stay awesome.